In This Corner.
In This Corner.
Featuring top current and former fighters, officials, promoters, managers, trainers, and more. Plus, insider news on the sport of boxing. If you're a fight fan, this podcast is a knockout. Now, In This Corner, your host, Mike Nickman.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to round 30 of In This Corner. Before we get into the show, don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at In This Corner Pod, and of course, if you haven't subscribed, please do so immediately on iTunes. What a great show we've got coming up. Ingram Jones is going to be here from Bailiwick Worldwide Boxing TV, direct from Ireland. We talk about Canelo Alvarez. We'll take a look at his latest victory against James Kirkland. Also, we're going to talk about Triple G and his fight with Willie Monroe Jr. A couple of chinks in the armor of Triple G. We're going to dissect that fight. And is Triple G the real goods? Is he as great as everybody thinks he is? And of course, we love to give you breaking news, and we've got some concerning the career of heavyweight champion Wladimir Klitschko and his next big fight. Round 30 starts right now.
Now, Mike introduces his special guest in this corner.
Back on the show, Ingram Jones of Bailiwick Worldwide Boxing TV, direct from Ireland. Glad to have you back.
Thank you so much for having me again.
A lot of things happening in boxing. Just 2 weeks ago, Canelo Alvarez, I think, fought the fight of his life, taking on James Kirkland. Alvarez, a big win, 219 to round 3 by knockout. He knocked Kirkland down once in the first round, twice in round 3, and I think this was just the perfect win for Canelo Alvarez. Absolutely.
He needed that. He looked sensational in the fight. I thought that because Canelo doesn't move his head much, I thought that maybe Kirkland could catch him early, but it was Canelo that struck first and put obviously Kirkland down. And once he put him down the first time, and Kirkland came back and he's throwing pity-patty shots when Canelo in the corner. But really, when Canelo opened up on him, it was a different class, and he kind of put Kirkland away. And the finishing shot was definitely one of the knockouts of the year for sure.
And you know, Canelo Alvarez, a baby in boxing terms at 24 years old. He'll make a few mistakes, but he's learning each and every fight. And I think a few fights down the road, this kid's going to be unstoppable.
Quite possibly, if they match him in the right ways. He doesn't seem to look very great against movers. When he fought against Lara, it didn't look great there, but I think if he's going to be there standing in front of a guy who wants to stand and trade with him, great. I think a good move would be to get Cotto as quick as possible, try and get a fight with Cotto, but I would avoid GGG. Fight Cotto, but avoid GGG.
Well, a lot of people are talking about Alvarez and Triple G, and that could be, I think, a mega fight.
Yeah, it would definitely be a mega fight, but you've got to favour the bigger man, which is GGG. I think he will do well against Canelo because Canelo's going to stand right in front of him, and it'll be a war for sure. But I favour the bigger man in this one.
And I think Floyd Mayweather did the right thing by fighting this kid a while ago because Mayweather's starting to slow down. This kid's speeding up. He's on his way up. And they always say you want to fight somebody like that early in his career before he learns too much.
Absolutely. In some ways, I've been quite critical of Canelo. I just wonder how good this guy can be. Are we seeing potentially the best of Canelo? Or is there more to come? How many more levels has this guy got? I mean, Mayweather is exceptional, as we saw again with Manny Pacquiao. But, I mean, so where is his level? We know he got beat by Mayweather, so we know he can't beat Mayweather. We know that he kind of struggled with Lara. So where is Canelo really? We're going to find it in the next couple of years for sure. You're
definitely going to find the answer, and he's learning to be a smarter fighter. He's learning to cut the ring off on an opponent, and that skill alone would make it more difficult for Mayweather the next time around, if there would ever be a next time around.
Absolutely. I mean, they talk about maybe a fight in September. I don't see that happen. I see more likely to see someone like Paulie Malignaggi fighting Mayweather in September. Easy fight, easy payday. Everyone knows who Malignaggi is. And you can say, well, you know what? Mayweather, you can go off into the sunset with a nice, easy fight with Malignaggi.
All right, last weekend, Triple G, speaking of Triple G, took on Willie Monroe Jr. Golovkin, winner, 45 seconds, round 6. by TKO. The rest stopped the fight. No big surprises. Most people thought it would go anywhere from 4 to 7 rounds. Wasn't a big surprise here. Monroe was down twice in round 2 and once in round 6. But each time he got hurt, he went down, he came up, and he fought back.
I have to be honest with you here, Mike. I wasn't that impressed with GGG. He looked sloppy, was getting hit more in fights than usual. I've spoken to Abel Sanchez on a number of occasions, and I've said to Abel, look, your guy is exciting, but his defense is getting more and more leaky. And when he actually fights a guy who can really crack and is accurate, your man may be in some problems. But he's looked okay tonight on that night against Monroe, who's not noticed a big puncher. Did a lot of moving. I felt the jab was okay, he put on him, but there was nothing really much behind it. The good work Monroe did do is when he obviously by then, GG had put him on the canvas, he got close and started throwing those body shots. Now, those body shots were interesting. What I'd like to see Monroe do is when he was throwing the body shots, maybe try throwing the uppercut, because GGG does seem vulnerable to the uppercut because of the way he comes in.
You know, as they say in boxing, you beat me to the punch. Well, you beat me to the punch because I thought Triple G, if you looked behind the win and you dissected it, I thought he looked terrible. He was getting hit with more shots than I've seen him get hit with in one fight in a long time. And as you mentioned, goodness gracious that it was only Monroe Jr., who didn't have a very high knockout percentage rate. If it were against somebody like the aforementioned Canelo Alvarez, would he take Alvarez's shot? My guess would be definitely not.
I'd like to see what he'd do if maybe the 2 fights. I'd like to see him fight David Lemieux. I think that would be a cracking fight. That's the fight I'd love to see GGG in, because for one thing, Lemieux can punch with both hands, and he doesn't mind having a war. And if GGG wants to stick his chin out and keep walking forward like he does, well, we'll see how he does against a guy who is known as a one-punch knockout artist.
Yeah, we saw a lot of chinks in the armor of the defense of, Triple G. He was taking shots that I've never seen him take before. He was walking in, doing his usual great job of cutting the ring off, throwing punches. But when Monroe, who has fairly quick hands, threw back, he was tagging Triple G, even with 2 and 3 punch combinations. And again, he can't punch. I would have to ask the question, if it were against a guy that could hurt him, you wouldn't want to take those punches.
Now, my concern also is, I've spoken to Abel Sanchez, and he said to me, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So if that's the case, then are their camp getting complacent? Are they doing as much defense work as they should do? Or they're saying, well, Monroe, he can't punch. Let's not worry about defense. Let's just worry about offense. If that's the case, then we're seeing that in the ring. And we saw that on Saturday night. And
if there were a Canelo Alvarez fight in the near future, I'm betting he wouldn't take those shots quite as easily as he certainly took Willie Monroe Jr.'s punches.
Well, the rumor is in camp, and I'll talk again to Julius Jackson, who is his chief sparring partner. He says that GGG takes punches from cruiserweights. I don't know how true that is, but Julius Jackson seems a pretty honest guy. He says that, GGG has a really great chin. It's amazing the sort of shots he can absorb. So maybe, Canelo's not the most... he knocked out Kirkland, but Kirkland's not known for having the greatest jaw. So, I won't say Canelo's a fearsome puncher. He's a good puncher, but when he moves up in weight, will he still carry that power? That's the question. Personally, I think he will. I think, he's got good legs. He's got good, thick legs. He gets his punches from the twisting of the waist. He really gets power behind those punches. I think he will take that power with him. Quite a few do, quite a few don't, but I think he'll be one of them to take that power with him. But nevertheless, there are a lot of great matches out there for Triple G, but Absolutely. You put him in with a puncher and he took what he did Saturday night, there could be some problems. Absolutely. We say it now. Let's say it now. Let's not wait until it happens, then say, we told you so. We're saying it now. Exactly. And a fight that, well, I guess you broke. We're going to break right here on In This Corner. They just inked the paper. Wladimir Klitschko will be taking on the pride of England, Tyson Fury. What do you think of that? Great fight. September. Everybody's looking forward to it. Believe it's going to be at Wembley. Huge event. people want to see how the big man Fury does against Klitschko. People are saying, the talk is, oh, well, let's get Fury in the ring with Klitschko. He's big, he's taller than Klitschko. Now he's got a good chance. He can box him southpaw, he can fight him orthodox. He's got a long reach, he can get in there, he can hit Klitschko. You know, people are talking about this fight this way. People want to hear the press conference. People know that Fury's a talker. People know that Fury's going to bring the fight to Klitschko. People know that Fury's an entertainer. And a lot of people are getting bored of Klitschko holding, and well, they're thinking to themselves, well, he won't be holding in this fight. He's going to be forced to fight. So there are a lot of question marks about this fight.
And for the first time, Wladimir Klitschko will be punching up. He's big at 6'6", as you mentioned, a good reach, 81 inch. But Tyson Fury will have 3 inches. His 6'9" with 4-inch reach advantage, coming in at 85-inch reach. We said about 18 KOs in 24 fights. For the very first time, Klitschko will be punching up, which, as we all know, can take a little bit off the power of those shots. So you got 2 big men, and I would personally say don't look for this to go real long. I wouldn't get a big meal while you're watching this fight, because chances are you may not finish it.
Absolutely. I think this fight ends within the 6 rounds, because somebody's getting knocked out in the fight. Somebody's getting knocked out. I just think it's who's got the better whiskers on the night. I mean, people say that Klitschko hasn't got great whiskers, but Klitschko's been fought and been knocked out by guys who can really dig. We have to find out what happens when Klitschko lands on Fury, what he can take. If he can absorb the shots that Klitschko's got, or he can land early on Klitschko, then we've got a fight.
All right, and people love big guys. Doesn't get much bigger than 6'6" and 6'9", does it?
It doesn't get any bigger, apart from the Chinese guy they've got. He's 7 foot tall, so I think he's just got 3-0 as a pro at the moment.
And they're talking about Wembley Stadium, as we mentioned earlier, in September, and isn't that kind of like going into the Lions' Den, try to beat Tyson Fury in Wembley?
Well, it's interesting that Wladimir Klitschko is like, I'll fight Tyson Fury anywhere. He is just he wants this fight. He really wants this fight. And it's like, I'll fight him anywhere. There's no sort of, you've got to fight, I'm the champion, you've got to fight me in Germany. No, I'll come and fight you in Wembley. And, maybe Wladimir is that convinced in his abilities that he can win this fight without the judges. Maybe he's seen something that we haven't. Maybe he's seen something we all have.
Well, I admire him for taking the fight, and I admire him just as much for going into the Lions' Den in Wembley. You got 2 big guys. Klitschko is not particularly known for his stamina, but then again, either is Tyson Fury.
Well, I think you've got to look in terms of experience. I mean, Klitschko's fought a few big men in his career. He's fought Maris Vac, he's fought Ibragimov, he's fought Tony Thompson. They're all top-class fighters. You look at the Fury record now, and in terms of top tall guys, you start looking, thinking, well, how many tall guys that have got a bit of class has Fury fought? I think Klitschko's going to be he's going to be the classiest tall man that Fury's fought, and right there, it's a huge ask of the big man, but he's got heart, he's got guts, he's got skills. So it's really up to him to put it on Klitschko and go for it. I
think it's a case of who gets there the firstest with the mostest wins
Absolutely.
The fight. All right. What's coming up with Balearic? Before we wrap up our interview, I know you're working on a lot of great things.
Exclusive tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be talking to Chris Arreola and his trainer, Henry Ramirez, and finding what's going on with the comeback of Arreola, what's going on with his career. Just trying to get more interviews, talk to more fighters, and trying to uncover who the next superstar will be. We've uncovered Keith Thurman and Terence Crawford, and talk about Rashidi Ellis. I'm trying to find some more grassroots fighters and see who's going to break through next. So that's the challenge for Balearic TV.
And again, for those that say, the naysayers, who say, oh, boxing is dead, boxing is hot all over the world right now.
Absolutely. And of course, there's a show coming up this weekend. You've got James DeGale who's fighting Andre Durrell for the IBF Super Middleweight Championship of the World. That's a big fight. You've got Mike Perez challenging and fighting Povetkin. Big fight there as well. Then you've got around the corner Anthony Joshua fighting Kevin Johnson. You've got Kell Brook defending against Frankie Gavin. So some big fights, and big man David Price fighting for the European title, which Tyson Fury would have vacated. So some good fights out there.
A lot of action, a lot of good matches. For once, maybe the first time in a long time, people are actually fighting people. People are fighting contenders.
Absolutely. And a lot of people gave Al Haymon a lot of stick. But, we've got another fight coming up, which is Broner versus Porter. Another good fight. We've had the fight with Peterson and Garcia. So, we're getting good fights. We're getting spoiled for choice now.
All right, the heartbeat of boxing, alive and well all over the world. Ingram Jones of Baylor Worldwide Boxing TV, direct from Ireland. Ingram, thanks so much for being on the show, and we'll speak to you very soon, I'm sure.
Thank you so much.
That's it for round 30. Of course, the conversation continues all week long. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter @InThisCornerPod. Keep the conversation going with us all week long. Don't forget, subscribe on iTunes. That way you don't have to miss a single episode. We'll send it to you each and every Thursday. Till next week, I'm Mike Mittman, and we'll see you at the fights.
You've been listening to In This Corner with Mike Mittman. Explore inthiscornerpodcast.com to connect with Mike, to ask the champ Larry Holmes, to access show notes, and more.
In This Corner.
inthiscornerpodcast.com.
In This Corner.
This has been a Steve Mittman social media creation. SteveMittmanSocialMedia.com.